Hi, I don't know if anybody can hear me. Hello. So, all right. Hello. Um, Rolla. Good afternoon. I think it should be evening for you. Good evening. All right. Good evening, Waris. How are you? Mm, so let's get right into it. Today I'm just going to talk a little bit about iterables and I want to talk about iterables and last time I was streaming I talked about um I talked about arrays and array methods, right? The last time how I talked about arrays and array methods, but today I want to talk about iterables, right? And weak maps and weak set. So I shouldn't take so much time, maybe an hour max. And yeah, tomorrow I should be doing a streaming also tomorrow where I will talk about Next.js, the new project I plan to work on Next.js. So that's the intention. Hopefully I'm able to find a good project to work on next. So, to just quickly get started, right? Let's use the latest Node.js. Let's see, or let's see. If I do Node here, so if we do Node here, we can write some things. I think I need Node here. I need another one here. I need Dino here in case I need to do something in Dino as well. And I also need maybe barn. I need barn as well so that I can barn there, barn repel.it, and I also need I think I need a browser to also run some code on the browser if there is a need to run some things in the browser. So what do we mean by high triples, right? If we say some things are high triples, what do we mean? I think the major thing that we should know about high triples is that, anything that is an high triple means that they are generated from the array family, right? And we can go over them using the for off loop, right? So the most very basic example is by saying that streaming. Can we see my terminal? Can we see the terminal, the text on the terminal? Or I should increase it a little. Can I increase it a little? Uh, does not seem to be coming up. I think it should be legible. And yeah, S is streaming, and we can say a for off loop, right? We can do a for off loop, right? That says what? Let each of what s, and we can then do something like this. Okay, how do I do multi-line? How do I do multi-line here? Uh, so I can do a console.log each. So this way, this way we can use the for off loop on the s variable. Another thing that we can do with the s variable is that you can do a array dot from. I think we can do an array dot from. You can do array. We should be able to do array. You can do an array dot from of that s, and it would automatically convert that into an array. So that way we know that strings majorly they are iterables, right? Because you can loop through them using the for off loop, or you can also like use array.from to convert it into an array. So of course arrays are like iterable, but there are also different objects that are built in, that have the built-in power to be what iterable, right? So but the major thing inside of both the string, both the array that makes it iterable is something we call symbol.iterator. So let's see if I can open a browser, and maybe I can open a browser and we can really understand what is called the symbol.iterator in itself. So it is that symbol.iterator that makes it easy for us to be able to so if I go to mdn here, mdn, and we say strings, I say strings, you would notice that um strings inherit something called what? String dot prototype dot what? Double at, right? Double at sign iterable. And this is the thing that controls the iteration process inside of our string. So if a string does not inherit this thing now, if any string does not inherit this prototype, it will not be able to what? Be iterable. But the iterable, you can see that the iterator method, right, of a string value, it implements something we call what? The iterable protocol, and it allows strings to be consumed by most syntaxes that are expecting iterables, such as what? The spread syntax, right, and the for off loop, right? It returns what? String iterator object that yields the Unicode point of the string value as individual value. So this is the major what? This is the major reason why we can what? We can iterate through a string, right? Because it is inheriting something we call the symbol dot iterator. So what we can do is that we can also play around with it on our own. That is, we can create objects, right? We can create ooh, see who is on the stream today. How did you get the link to the stream? That's interesting. Good to see you. Good to see you, bro. Uh thanks for joining. All right, thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. Thank you so much for joining. Thanks for joining. Ooh, it's a big one. It's a big one. Thanks again one more time for joining. So I was saying earlier that the reason why strings can can like we can iterate through a string is because it is inheriting from this prototype called what? Symbol dot iterator, like this symbol dot what? Iterator. So if it's not inheriting from this place, you wouldn't be able to what? To what? Iterate through. And if we iterate through something, right, we can, part of the major thing that we can do with them is that we can use what? The spread syntax, right? We can use the spread syntax, right? I think I can put this in the middle, right? We can use the spread syntax. It means that if we have an existing array, right, we can spread that array into a new array, and it will allow us to do that, right? It will allow us to do that because let new what? New s equals to what? So if you, before I do that, the first value is that s is what? A string. S is a string, and I can turn it into an array by just using the spread what? The spread syntax. and automatically it becomes what, an array, that way. So that is what another interesting thing that what we can do. Like, and I've showed earlier that we can use what, the array.from, right? The array.from takes the iterable and convert them into takes the iterable and convert it into an array, right? Anytime we have an iterable, it can convert it into an array. So what is the advantage, and how can we create our own iterables, right? What are the advantages of iterables? So basically the advantage there is that you can easily go from an iterable to an array, right? And you can easily loop through, right? Those are one of the very, very good advantage there. So majorly, deep inside, right? Deep inside, there are still some internal detail that is going on, like deep inside the string, deep inside the symbol of the iterable, there are deep stuff going down, right? Like I don't want to go so much deep about what is going on inside, but let me show one example. Right, this example is just based off javascript.info, right? Almost the same example that is on javascript.info. I need a place to write let's see if I can do that here. So if I do a object, if I create an object called range, and I say it's an object, and this range will have from, right, from 1 to what, from 1 comma to what 5. This way, so range is now an object. That is, it's an object, but it contains from and to. Now I want to make this object to become an iterable, right? That's what I want to do. I want to add a power to this object so that it can have some extra power. And what is the extra power? Let this object that is an ordinary object, let it become an iterable, so that anytime I want to loop through this range, I can loop through it and get a value like 1, comma 2, comma 3, comma 4, and comma 5, right? Which is naturally very not easy for us to create if we are creating something with an object like this. So now, how do I do that? The first thing is that I want to add a method to what? I want to add a method to this range. So we can do a method like this. So for example, if I had a method called hello to if I had a method called hello to this, to the range, I can call this a function, and we can say this is this, and it can just return hello. I'm sorry, I'm writing it in the terminal. I'm still going to go back to my IDE to write this. Okay, I'm just using this to quickly prototype, then we can then go into the IDE to try this whole thing out later on. So if I call let's say, if we look at range now, range should have what, one, what, from, right, 1 to 5, right, and it will also have what, hello. So we can then do range range dot hello, right, and if we call it, it will return a string. And that is, we've added a method to the range. And I think I can delete it by just adding range dot hello, right? Yeah, I think that should be done. And so if we check range, we are back to where we are. So what I want to do here is just clear this whole thing for me. Now, another thing I want to do here is that I want to let's see, we still have the range here intact. So I want to do range square bracket of symbol dot iterator symbol dot iterator. So once I create a method that inherits, right, that inherit from symbol dot iterator, then it will now have some power, right? And the power is that this object that is just from and to, right, will now be able to um what, behave like an iterable on its own. And that is the way to create the symbol of iterable. So one thing we can do here is to I can return another set of objects, right? And let's just do this. I can return another set of objects, And inside of this object, I want it to have current. That is, what is the current number that we are on? And the current number that we are on is what? This dot from, right? That is, from is what? 1, right? So it will be this dot from, comma. And where are we? What is the last value? The last value is what? This dot what? This dot to, right? And we then want to also create what, if another method inside of this place called next, right? That will be increasing from what, the 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. And this can now what, this can now be something that looks like this. So if I need a conditional statement to say that if we are not bosse, how are you, good evening. So if this dot what, this dot current, if this dot current is what, is less than or equals to what, this dot what, this dot last, right? We want to what, open a curly braces. And what we want to do inside of the curly braces is that we want to we now want to, I think I still need some formatting, but let me just manage what I have here. If this dot current is less than or equals to this dot last, then I want you to increment, right? So return, right? You can return a object, and inside of the object, we are not done, right? You can say done is false, right? Comma, the value is now going to be what? This dot what, current plus plus, right? You want to increase what? You want to increase the value, which is going to be this dot what, current plus plus, right? That's what we want to return. Now, another thing we want to do is that else, right? Else, come on. I think I just have to go to the ID now. I can't stress anymore. I cannot do this anymore. Let me just go to the ID and write this. Let's do this. Do I have a streaming? I think I should have a JavaScript folder. JavaScript folder. Let's see. CD JavaScript streaming. Do I have a streaming folder inside of this place? I don't even know where my streaming folder is. Where I stored those files that I use for streaming. Let's. I think it should be inside project. Let's just do this. Let's just do open dot. So we have I think it should be inside projects. Is it personal? I mean, it's just a lot of files. That's why I have a lot of folders and files. Right? Don't mind me. I have a lot of files and folders. I'm just trying to check. Okay, I think it's JavaScript live stream. So this is where I've been keeping all the files I've been working with. So I could just go inside this place, cd into JavaScript, cd into JavaScript, cd into JavaScript, and I'm going to JavaScript streaming. I think JavaScript live stream, and yeah, I should be here now, and I can do VS Code now. Okay, I'm expecting my VS Code to open, and we could just call this new file, Iterables, right? Call this Iterables.js, and we can start Coca. Just say Coca. Start on current. Start on current. For those who are just joining me, would might not know about Coca. Coca is just like VS Code extension, right? That allow us to run JavaScript using Node.js, right? If you want to know more about Coca, you can just search. It is created by a company called Wowbee, or yeah, Wowbee or Wowby. So Coca JS or whatever their name is now. You can always come here to to just know this is how the whole thing works, right? And you can install the extension. The company is run by Wildby JS. Yeah, yeah. There's a very nice group of company as well. They have different products, different powerful products that you can install, and some of them are paid, some of them are free. Depends on what's going on. So let's quickly go back to my VS Code and let's see. So here I have before I started with creating a string called what streaming, and I said that this is a string here, but um if you console.log what if you console.log s, right, s is a string, but automatically we can convert s to an array by just spreading the content of that thing, right? That straight convert into an array. So now why is it easy for us to convert it into an array that fast? And it's because um strings themselves, they are what? Strings themselves, they are what? Iterables, right? And why are they iterables? Because they inherit something, right? They have a particular power, right? That they are inheriting, that they've inherited. That's what makes them iterable. And that thing that they have inherited is something we call something called, if you do square bracket symbol of iterator, right? So it's because there is maybe I can just can I do s dot prototype prototype prototype, right? Can I log this prototype? I shouldn't be able to. I know I shouldn't be able to have access to this. Or how best can I log the prototype? Console.dir of s. Can I do this? Or want to see a list of stuff that this thing can do. I think, but there should be a prototype. There should be a prototype on this thing. Okay, if there is no prototype, let's not go deeper into that. So, to now create our own, to make any object now. Let's say we want to make any object iterable. That's what I was trying to do earlier. That is, I want to create an object called. There's an object called range, and that object contains from 1 to what? To 5. And I want to make this an iterable. That is, you will be able to spread that range, like you can spread that range and it will become an array, right, yourself. And that's the goal, right? How will that be possible? So the way that is possible would be what? For us to what? To allow range to inherit something called square bracket of symbol dot what? Iterator, right? And make it a method. Make it a method. And once we make it a method, then we can now say it is going to return its own object, right? Make it return its own object. And the object should have what? Current, right? Should what? This dot what? This dot from, right? And last will be what? This dot what? This dot to. And we are now saying that it will now have another thing called next. That is, this is the function that will be called to move to the next thing. This is the thing that will be called to move to the next thing. So we're saying that what if this dot what dot current is less than or equals to this dot what last. That is, so long as one is still less than what? So long as one is still less than so long as one is less than 5, right, it has to return certain things. Else, right, it has to also return certain things, right? And what it is returning will be what? It should return an object of what? Return an object of done equals to what? Done equals to true. Done equals to true. So here, what will happen here? Now, here would be that what it has to return done is false because we are not done here, right? Done is false, comma. And what is the value? The next value will be what? So what is the next value after 1? The next value after 1 is what? 2, right? So how do we from 1, how can we get 2? Then we can say what? This dot what? Dot current plus plus, right here. So this way now, when we do something like this, then automatically, right, this thing will then have some power, would have an ability to be able to behave like what? An iterable. We have the power to behave like an iterable. So let's try to what? Let's try to get it to work. So we can do for of what? Let num equals to this, and you can see that now we can loop through range like a normal number, and it is giving you 1 to 4. And another interesting thing here is that we can now do what? Array dot from, and you can pass it to what? Range. If you pass it to range, what do we have? We should have a full-fledged array, right? We should have a full-fledged array. Now I think one more thing wouldn't work though, which is this would not work now. This is not working. This is not working. This is not going to work yet. I think it shouldn't work. Let spreadable equals to this. This wouldn't work. How will it work? I think it's gonna work. Yes, it worked. So like range, that is an object that we all know that range is actually an object, right? We're sure that range is just this object, but this object now is now behaving in a very powerful way where you can now do array dot from on an object, and which normally you're not able to do that on a normal object, because if we take this whole thing out, right, you will see that what? Everything begins to fail, right? You cannot do for off here, you cannot do array off here, you cannot do that here. But what gives this particular what? Range the power is that what? Now it is inheriting something called what? The symbol dot iterator. And the moment it's inheriting the symbol dot iterator, then you can now write the code. Just the major thing is that if it must return 3 things, that is the current, the last, and what? The next. That is, the current means the current value, the last means the last value, and next means that what? What is the mechanism for it to be increasing, right? What is the mechanism for it to be increasing? So if you look at this mechanism now, you can see that this return, right, return done equals to false, right? It knows that what? So if I return this and I say done is false and I return a current value, so it means that we are not done, and it's until I return an object that looks like done here, and that's when we are done. So that's a little bit about how to just like create your own iterable, right, from scratch. Again, what are the key things here? The key things here is that if any object in this world inherits from symbol.iterator and you are able to return a valid JavaScript code that has current, last, and a next method, then that thing would suddenly start behaving like an iterable. And what is an iterable? Anything that you can that you can use the for loop on, anything that you can use array.from on, anything that you can spread, automatically it becomes what? An iterable. And by default, like I said again, strings and array, they are iterable, right? But there can be situations for us in our code to create our own iterable, as the case may be. And I know that this might look a little bit strange, but this is coming from a particular the whole idea of this next, current, and last is coming from something called generators. I don't want to go deeper into all of that because they are a little bit like advanced, but not so advanced like that. But they're a little bit advanced, not so advanced like that, but at least the because let's try to look at generators. No, we will try to look at generators. I mean, look at this example. Look at this interesting, very interesting example from MDN. And I think I like this interesting example though. Very, very funny and interesting example. So if you do a console.log, let's just do a console.log of this. I hope I can copy this. Can you see this? Can you see this now? That is, if you spread this dark emoji, this dark emoji is a combination of what? This light skinned emoji and another word, another thing that my the VS code is not able to process here. And that will show you that emojis, right? These emojis, they are combinations of emojis, right? They're just combinations of strings, right? They're just combinations of value in there. This is another very interesting one, right? Very interesting. Look at this. So this is what was combined together to create this emoji here, right? And that shows you the power of what? The power of iterables, right? The power of just being able to like join all these, because what they are doing is they are putting strings inside, like just putting strings on strings and combine them to create another strings. I know that I've known before now that emojis are combinations of different things anyways, but it's just good to be able to see all of these things. So I wanted to show you generators, because if you have an idea of what generators are, right, just a basic example of generators, then you will know. So let's create something called let's do a function. So this is a function, right? This is just a function range. And let's say I want to create a function called range here. So what we probably usually do is that you pass in the beginning, right? You pass in the from, and you pass in something like last, right? And we do something like this. And we return, we just usually normally return, what we usually do is that you can do a for loop of what? Let what high equals to what from, right? And you're doing what high is less than or equals to what the last, right? And then you can do what high plus plus, right? And let's say we want to spill back an array. So if we want to spill back an array, right, we want to just do let array is equals to this, and you can do what array dot push, right? Array dot push, right? So you're pushing each value there, and at the end we are returning what array, right? Are you with me? Is everybody with me? So we can then do a console.log range this now. So let's call this range array, range a or range arr, right? And range arr prints this out, right? That is range, and this is just normal range stuff, normal JavaScript, right? Now if we want to convert this into like a generator function, so I can duplicate this function and call it let's call the name, so we can call the name range gen, which is a generator that generates something. And all we just need is all we just want to do is, we don't need an array anymore here. All we just need is, we need something called what? Look at this now. I know many persons will not have seen this before. We need yield. You need a yield. So if you use yield, now JavaScript is complaining that a normal function cannot use yield. So we know it is not a normal function. So you can put an asterisk there. Is there an asterisk there? Or before? I've forgotten. Oh my God. Is it before or after? Should be before. Right. So you can see that what? It's what? After. Right? After. Then we should be able to do something that looks like this. Let's just see something that looks like this. Why are you messing things up? Or better still, let's just say 1 here, and let's say 5 here first. Is there a syntax error somewhere? There's a syntax error somewhere. Let's see. There is a syntax error somewhere. Look at me. I know there's a syntax error somewhere. Look at me. It has to be function asterisk. Function asterisk. Right. And it has to be. So when you do something that looks like this now, how do we call this kind of function? You call it this way. And generator, like if you console.log gen.next, so it will say what? The first value is what? 1. And if you call it again one more time, 2. If you call it again, 3. If you call it again, 4. And if you call it again, 5. Can we call it again? And say, now I am done. So this is a what? This is a generator, right? So if you can see the idea of what I'm talking about, how many of you noticed that in our range function earlier, we were returning value and done? How many of us noticed in the first function earlier that we wrote, we were returning something that has value and done, right? We were returning something that has what? Value and done, right? So basically, this is whatever we are doing in this symbol of iterator is something similar to the way what generators are working. And you can also notice that we have a method called next, right? You can see that we also have a method called next, right? So you have this next here, and you have this value and done here. And anytime you see the value and done, right, it's just a way to tell the JavaScript engine that, well, there's always a starting point, and I also have like a end point right there. So basically, they are all interrelated together, right? When we talk about like iterators, generators, right? All these iterables, they're kind of like very interrelated, and they are very powerful if you can just understand how to use them, right? If you can understand how to use them, they are very, very powerful. I know you might not just get it just at a go, right? But again, I don't want you to be okay, it doesn't work anymore now. It doesn't work anymore now. So now I need to pass what? From 1, comma, and I need to pass what? 5, right? And it should be working now. And I think if I do this, if I do array.from of this, array.from of gen, I should have my array. Like, this is beautiful. So again, whatever is working behind the scene inside of whatever is working behind the scene inside of this symbol.iterator, whatever is working behind the scene inside of this symbol.iterator, it is actually a generator that is actually working inside of it, right? So why do we need all these jargons, right? The major reason we need all these jargons is for you to understand how loops are actually working behind the scene, right? This is the major thing that powers loop behind the scenes. So when you're creating all the loops, or you're creating arrays, or you're creating all these beautiful things behind the scene, right? This is what your JavaScript engine is actually creating for you, right, behind the scene, to just make a lot of things happen to you. So what are some of the advantage, or some of the advantage, well, that I can think of now, or off the top of my head. I think the advantage is that it just gives you a very good way to convert any existing object into. So let's say you have a situation where you cannot use an array, or you don't even need an array, but you need to find a way to convert objects into arrays, or into something that you can loop through, right? Your iterables or your generator is a very smart way to quickly go to do something that looks like that. And I've said it again and again that strings are what? Strings are what? They are high tables by default. Strings, they are high table by default. Strings, they are high table by default, right there. I don't know if anybody has question. Is anybody confused? I don't know. Is anybody who is confused? I like to make some things clear, or to explain some things again. Is anybody confused? You're confused with all these advanced JavaScript that you're just seeing for the very first time. Why am I undefined again? A is not defined. Why is A not defined? I shouldn't be having undefined here. I thought I fixed this before. Okay, sorry, because I called this. Yeah, I think it was because I called this. So again, the thing is, somebody's if you look at them again, they are very high level, not very very high level, but it's a little bit high level. And so one of the reasons why this is undefined, and if I'm to explain to you, if I explain to you right here, is that after you call this array dot what from on gen, it is just telling you that my gen has expired, right? Gen has expired, and you cannot call next on gen anymore. And that's how powerful it is, that they are very smooth in the way you can use them to create different subtle magic. Once you consume that iterable finish, nobody else, or that generator finish, nobody else can use it. And that's why here my gen is giving me what? Undefined here, because by the time we run gen here, it has expired. And if you look at it now, the last time they are calling gen.next, what are we having? We are having value to be undefined and what? Done to be true. So if I need another one, right, the only way to go about it is to create another one by saying what? Gen 2, right, equals to what? Range gen from where? From 100 to what? To 99, to let's say from 100 to 105, right? And you can now call what? You can call gen 2, right, dot next. If you call gen 2 dot next, right, we would have something that looks like this. You call gen 2 dot next again, you have what? Another one that looks like this, right? And so it is, again, they are very subtle stuff, but let me repeat it one more time so that everybody can really catch on what iterables are. Now the first thing is what we said: strings are iterable by default, and that's the reason why we can use array.from on them, right? So what about if I want to make this object an iterable? Right, that's the question. So if I have this object that has what? From 1 to 5, I want to make it iterable. What can I do to make it iterable? So the only way to make it iterable is what? To let it inherit what? Inherit this symbol dot what? Create a method that inherits this symbol dot iterator. And if you look at it as I hover on it, it says that what this is a method that returns the default iterator for an object called by the semantics of what a for of statement right there. So, and this must return three things. It must return a current, the last thing, and a method called next. That is a mechanism to always increase itself. Can I shock you? Let me I like to shock people. If you do alphabet. I don't know if it's spelling of alphabet, but this is spelling of alphabet. I can't even, can somebody help me? Alphabet. I don't even know. I don't care. I don't care. So let's assume that we have an alphabet of say we have from to be alpha. Okay, sorry, is English and spellings are they are hard. My job is to write code. My job is not to do spelling. All right. So you can, I mean, we can have something that looks like this. No, 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 no. Will this give me what I want? This would also work, but let me see. Let me see if it's gonna work. I can say array dot from alphabet, and it's not giving. I'm not this. Let me see. Uh, what is the char code of? If I want to get the char code of a particular alphabet, which is, I know that A is 66, but how do I get that 66? I need to get the char code. Get the char code. Get the char code. The char code of A of the current character. And what is that? Let's see, char code. Char code is 97. So we can say char code plus plus. And then the next alphabet now, let's say next. So let's say let's say next car is the next char will now be string from char code of plus plus now. And that should be the next character should be what? What's the next character now? Should be next char should be it can be A. It can be A. I want it to be B. So I want to use this approach to create alphabets, array of alphabets. Let's see. Let's see. This is the current char code should be this. Let me see what current is first. What is current? A, right? A is 99. Okay. So get the char code of that to be 97. Then the next char code is next alphabet. Next alphabet is let's see, next alphabet will be char code plus plus, and which is what next alphabet should be. Let's see, it can't be this though. Can I add? let me just do my +1, and right, and we can do next alphabet. Next car should be this, or sorry, it should be next alphabet now. Alphabet is this, and if next alphabet is this, then I can console.log the value is what's the value now? The value should be next alphabet, next char. Okay, let me log next char before I what's next char? Next char. Okay, that's B. Beautiful. So it is next char, right? Beautiful. And let's see. So automatically this is supposed to work. I've broken something here. It's running endlessly. It's not stopping. I've run into an infinite loop. I don't break something here. Only the first 100 values are automatically logged. So how do I stop this? Uh, so if I need a condition to exit the loop now, if current is greater than last, then we can return this now. And this way, we can stop it from, well, let's see, do I need this other one? If this dot current is greater than this dot last, then we can now let's see. I'm trying something very, oh, no. Else if current is now equals to last, let's see. Let's see. If current is equals to last, no, current cannot be equals to last. If current is, what's the value of current? If current is now greater than this, I think it should stop now. Should it work? It's not gonna work. Let's see. So, let me write something inside Node.js. Yeah, let's see. So I want is letter A, right? Letter A is greater than Z. That should be false, right? Okay, true. Letter A is is less than Z, which is true because A is 97 and Z is something 100 and something. But we get to by the time A keeps increasing and A gets to Z, right? And if you say Z is less than Z, what do you have? False, right? That should be false, right? But can Z be greater than Z? Okay, if Z is equals to Z, I think this is the condition where I have to terminate that thing. So the condition would be and set it back inside current. So I think I need to say mm, next char is this, and then we need to now say current is equals to next char, and it keeps going, it keeps going, it keeps going. And so if current is equals to next char, so the moment current is equals to last, then we need it to stop. We need it to stop. I think this is supposed to work. Okay, it's giving me something. The iterator result is undefined. Let's see. I need. So it is logging A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, but the rest are not working. So I need something to. I need a for loop to see. And so this is what I'm trying to do is just to show you, right, that sometimes you can use this thing if you really know how to use it. Like if you know how to use it, you can just use it to create magic. So here it is going extra into this extra here. Who send you work here? Um so it is logging a, okay, it's not even logging the first a. So it has to log the first a. So how do I make sure it logs the first A? How do I make sure it logs the first A? Hmm. This is dicey. How do I log the first A? Right now, again, if you look at what I have, okay, I think it's logging A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. So let's see here. Uh, or I need another exit strategy that is different from this, because the last value here is this and the last value here is this. So this is not the same thing. What's the value of what next chart here? I'm saying current is assigned what? Should I just return current here? Can I return current here? Can I return current here? Mm, come on, come on, come on, come on. We can do this. So for the first value, for the first value you are returning, if current is less than or equals to last, that is, if alphabet A is less than or equals to is less than Z, right? Just return Z. That's the first. The first thing is we want to return A in this place here. Return A. I'm confused there. Because it is not starting from A, it is skipping into this extra thing here, and I need to stop it from skipping into this extra thing. Come on. Mm. Ah, come on, come Come on. Think. Let me try to solve the whole thing again. I'm just going to clean the whole code, right? Just clean everything, right? We'll go again, right, from the beginning, and just so we kind of like understand what is going on. So basically, what I'm trying to do in essence is that I want to have a situation where if you specify any two valid alphabets, so if you specify A and you specify Z or Z now, I want you to give me like all of the full thing from the beginning to the end, right? Using just JavaScript to do that, right? And I know right off the top of my head that capital A is the value of capital A is 66, right? How do I know that the value of what the value of capital A is 66, right? I think we can do string dot charcode at right at 0. So if you do at 0, so if you do string of charcode at 0, so you see that here now, based on this criteria, right? Based on this criteria, right? A is number 66, and capital Z, right? Capital Z is 90, right? So now, if somebody specify in my if anybody specify in this array here, say they specify our from to be capital A and our what our to be capital Z right here. So how we want to do is what we want to generate a loop between this A and Z. That is what we want to do is we want it to generate 65, right? Just do 65, right? Generate 65 to what? 65 to 90, right? Generate all the alphabet under 65 to 90 for us. That's what we wanted to do, basically. So if somebody else comes here and specifies small letter A and small letter Z, right? What are the alphabets between small letter A and small letter Z? What are the alphabets between small letter A and small letter Z? So all we just need to do is what? Do something like this. Let's look at what is the char code of small letter A, which is 97, right? And 97 plus 26. It should be 97 plus 25 like that, which is what? Is it 122? Is that correct? I'm not sure. So let's do small letter Z. Small letter Z. Okay, so that's 122, right? Small letter Z is 122. So it's supposed to be what? 97, right? 97 to 122, right there. And we also wanted to have it in a way where this will also be compatible with so if another person comes and they start with what they say they are from is from maybe B to what? B to just what? B to just D, right? How many values is between B to D? B to D is going to be what? B to D is supposed to be 98 to 100, right? It's supposed to just give me the list of all the alphabets in between those two things, and I want it to work programmatically at all the time, right? Such that if somebody comes and specify maybe A to he, now if somebody comes and specify A to he, right, I want it to give me the exact value starting from 97 down to 101, and I want to do that programmatically, right? That's what I want to try to do. Now, so the first thing is what? To get this current, right? The first thing we need to do is to get current would be this dot from is an alphabet. So all I just need to do is I need to do this dot from dot what? Char code at, right? Char code at here, which will now tell me the exact value, right? And this dot what? Dot to dot char at code. So if I console.log, if I console.log current and last here, current and last here will give me what? current will give us, if it is small letter, current will give us 97, right? And Z, and if we console.log last, it will give us what? 122. And all we just want to do is what? We want to say that what if current now, so we cannot, I think we're able to say if current is less than what? If current is less than or equals to what? To last. We want you to do return is false. And what is the value here now? If I say the value here should be what? This, it wouldn't work. I'm not sure whether this would work though. Let's put this here. I doubt whether this would work here. And say we have else return something that looks like this. Return something that looks like this. There is a error on line 93 somewhere. There's a error somewhere. Right. So this way, if I call this now, let's unlock everything here. It's no more bug, but it's not working the way I want. Something is still missing. No more bug, but it is skipping the first alphabet. It is skipping the first alphabet. It's skipping the first alphabet. Let's see now. Yes! It doesn't skip the first alphabet anymore. It doesn't skip the first alphabet anymore. Yes. So now, this is the hypothesis now. The hypothesis is if I change this to capital A and I change this to capital Z, it must work perfectly well without any problem. It must just work perfectly well without any problem. And if I also change this to A to letter E, it must work perfectly well without any problem. Yes, I got it to work. I got it to work. So, I mean, it's just very interesting, right? If you can really understand all the nice magic or sugar that is going on under the ground here, right? And let me try another thing to see if there is a bug here. If we change this to letter B and we change this to letter E, it should still work perfectly fine. I mean, this is cool. This is so cool to have. This is like a very cool function to have right there. So what would have been very good is that we can now write a function. We can now write a function that can encapsulate this behavior. But the major thing is, I just need you to understand that iterables are very, very interesting, or they are very powerful if you can just like understand the way they work underneath, right? The way they work behind the scene. They are so sweet and so powerful. All you just need to do is be able to understand that for you to be able to iterate on something, we need a symbol.iterator, right? That's the most important thing. For us to be able to like iterate or loop through something, we need the symbol.iterator. That has to, like, you need that, right? And then once we get the symbol.iterator, the symbol.iterator must return two things or three things. It must return something called current, and it must return something called last, and it must return next. That is a mechanism of, like, a mechanism for the generator that is working inside behind the scene to be able to move to the next thing. Because the only thing that is happening here is that it is just calling, it will show the first thing and it will show the last thing, and then it will call this next function. It will call this next function, and the next function we now say that, well, oh, is the value that we have, is it less than what? The current, less than the last? It will say no, it is not less than. Then what it automatically does, it increases one. And once it increases the current by plus 1, right, and it will now convert it back to the right alphabet back. right? And it will return that value back to us. It will convert it to the right alphabet. And so you can use an iterator to generate like a list of, you can create an iterator for a list of students in a class, right? And it will always list out everybody's name from the first person to the last person. And I mean, based on their student ID. I mean, it's just very powerful. Like the more I think about it, the more I just like, oh, these are very important use case of different things that you can do. Even though most of the time, you probably, if people want to do something like this at maybe at work, you know what we'll do is like you will just manually write out the alphabet. That's what we'll do, right? You manually write out the alphabet, and then you just return a function that can do that. But again, this is like a very cool, this will be like a very cool utility that you can always have. It will always help you to print out the alphabet based on any particular range that you specify. And the interesting thing again with this is that this thing here, I can convert it into a function easily. Convert into a function that returns an array of everything so smooth and so easily. So again, when you think about it, I know that the complex, like it is a complex technique, right? That can take you time to really figure out and understand. But if you're able to slow down and follow the whole process again, right, from the beginning. Again, for this alphabet to work, right, we need a from, we need a to, right, and then we need what? A symbol dot iterator. And what does the symbol dot iterator do? Symbol dot iterator would convert whatever alphabet that we have, it converts it to number, and then it converts the to what? To its own equivalent number. And the only thing I do is what next is now able to tell us that so long as if current is still less than last, always return done first and the value. Boom. And you have a list of alphabets, and it's just there. Very, very, and I think it can also work beyond alphabets, because this can work for any Unicode character. Because if I stress this by, I can stress this with other thing, but with any valid Unicode character. I don't know what the first Unicode character looks like though, but if I can get what the first Unicode character looks like, then I'm able to print all of these things out. And you see, the funny thing here is that I could just do array.from of all of these thing here, and I have my alphabet. So we could do array.what.from, and I have what? An array of all my alphabets, right? So smooth and so smooth. So smooth, right? Very smooth. Very, very smooth right there. So again, the key to iterable working is that what? An iterable requires you to what? There must be a mechanism to go to the next thing. A mechanism to go to the next thing. A mechanism to go to the next thing. And here, what is the mechanism to go to the next thing? The mechanism to go to the next thing is this next what? This next method. And this next method always check what? If the alphabet is, so somebody's thinking that if we have, let's say we have letter E. Let's say we say letter he and we say letter he. Will this work? Letter he to he. It will not work. It shouldn't give us anything. Letter he to he should not give us anything. All right. It should not give us anything. Because the way we have written this code here, we're saying that if current is less than what? If current is less than he, is if current is less than last, and based on the arrangement here, e can never be what? Can never be less than he, based on the arrangement. Though I'm also thinking about another solution in my head. I can write this to also work, right, with another condition. So all we just need to do is that we need to add like another if statement, right, somewhere here. You just need to add another if statement here and say if condition is, if current is greater than, if current is greater than this, right, you want to swap their behavior, right? You want to swap the behavior. Can you go backward? I think you should be able to go backward, which is going to be return this. This looks like magic. Can it go backward? If it is less than or equals to, if it is Is it like this or like this? Is less than or equals to this? So what is the value of here? What's the value here? What's the value of current here? I want to know the value of current here. The value of current here is I know. I've been running into an infinite loop. I know. We've run into an infinite loop, but I need to catch that. If the value is less, if current is now greater than, if current, that is this one, if this is greater than the last, so all we want to do is we want to work backward. We want to work backward. This is supposed to work though. But there's a condition that I need. I need a condition to terminate this. It is greater than. It's just a condition to terminate this. That's what I need. Or better still, instead of writing this condition, right? Another thing I can do is we can just swap them. Just swap them. We can say current is what? Current is equals to temporary, right? Just assign uh let's see. We can see what is current here? Current is 101. That's the value here. And my god. So if we get the character for this here, the character here will be what? String dot from char code of current. And what's this alphabet here? The alphabet here is E, right? So the alphabet here is letter E. And then we want to now walk backward, right? We need it to walk backward. Just walk backward by doing if current is greater than, if current is greater than last, right? If current is greater than last, walk backward. And when you walk backward, how do I stop it now? That's the only thing I need to think about. Think about how to solve this. I mean, these are. I mean, the reason why I'm trying all this is because they're just interesting problems to just think about, and just think about how to solve it. Nobody sent me work, right? But they're beautiful. They're beautiful things to think about. Okay, how does this work? How does this work? How will this work? Uh, but what will it print out? If I have E to A, what will this print out? E to A. E to A will go backward and print 101 to 97. So it's just a way to do a reverse loop, right? That's the thing I need, a reverse loop. Write the loop in a way where it is capable to do a reverse loop. Right. Do a reverse loop. How does a reverse loop work? So from our current, if it returns, let's say I return this all the time, yeah, it's going to run into trouble. Can you just say it is constantly this? Q. If current is greater than, I think it wouldn't work because our next will be confused. It should work though. It should work if current is greater. If current is greater than, So um if you do current minus one, let's do a console.log. A console.log e minus what's it called now? Current minus minus. What does current minus minus give to us? Let's do this here. I think this is what is busting the problem. It should be minus minus here. And so if it is minus minus here, then we can then do a string dot from char code, right? And this should give us D. And the next one would be what? If I duplicate one more time and do another one, right? And this will now be what? No, it can be. Oh, okay. I'm seeing the problem now. Yes, right. C and B, right? What is the stopping point? The stopping point is hey. The stopping point is hey. So here, once it gets to hey, how do we stop this now? How do we stop this? So we need one more condition to stop it. What is the value of current here? Current here is now 97. What is the value of what is the value of last? Okay, so here it would have been now if current is now equals to what? Equals to last, then you can also return done to be true, and this can now be let's see this now. This can now be something that looks like this. Return, yeah. Empty array. Why? Why is the empty array? Is it because this is breaking it? It can't be empty array now. Come on. It entered into this place here, which is current here. What is this returning? The value here is D. And if it calls that next again, false. should be false here. It's actually running into an infinite loop somewhere. Uh, or if current is, if something is greater than this, the moment they are now equals to this, check this condition and give us this. I can't get it to work now, but I think it's an interesting problem to figure out. It's an interesting problem to figure out. Though another thing I can do is I can swap this now. We can do a swap. That is, we could just, once you sense that from is greater than, if you sense that from is greater than TO, you can just swap it back and reassign them. Just reassign them. So just do like a check. Just do like a check and swap. I think this is possible. So you want to do, yeah, I think then this would work now. I don't like this approach though, but this also works. So this check and swap right here, automatically anytime you pass in E to here, it automatically checks and swaps it back, and it will always work. So it is working forward and it is working backward. I probably don't like the solution though. I don't like the approach there, but it will definitely work. It will definitely work, right? So somebody can bring in capital Z here and they can run it to, can it work that way? Yeah. You can see. So in between Z, in between capital Z and small letter A, these are the alphabets that we have in the Unicode representation of strings, right? In between the capital Z and the small letter A, these are the elements in between them there. So again, like I said, the major thing is about just throwing the code around just to be able to what understand the whole concept of something becoming an iterable. But you see how it's easy for us to just create arrays easily, right? From things that would probably be very difficult for you to create arrays from, right? You would have probably, struggled to create arrays from them, right? You need maybe the real hardcore value before you can create an array from them. So you can play with this. Let's see. We should be able to go from capital Z to capital Z to capital Z to capital A. I mean, it will work. To work downward. Is it working downward? Yeah, it's working downward, right? So it works both downward and it works upward, right? But I still need to figure out that approach. So to make it work. So, but this is the length and breadth of Iterables. So let me try to break it down one more time before I maybe call it a day. The major things again with Iterable is that if you look at Iterable closely, you will understand that this is an object, but we want this object to become a loop, something that we can loop through, something that can inherit, can do the things that for loop does, right? Or for off loop does, right? So it means that we want to say from is 1, then the next value is 2, the next value is 3, the next value is 4, the next value is 5, right? So we need a way to do that. And if we want to be able to do that, then we need it to inherit something called symbol.iterator. So this symbol.iterator is what powers your for off loop. It is what powers generators behind the scene, right? That is, this is the thing that enables us to create a function called generator. Now, if you have not heard of a generator before, okay, welcome. A generator is just a function that has what? Something called asterisk, and you can call what? Generate. And so what this does, right, is what? it can just generate, right? Generate something for you, right? The generator function can yield. So instead of using return, you use something called yield, and we can yield alphabet A, right? Or we can yield alphabet B, and we can yield alphabet what, Z. So automatically, this is a generate function. Now, how do I use this generate function? And this is the beautiful thing here. I can do a console.log of what array generate, and automatically you can see that what A, B, C, D automatically can now become an array for me, right? With the help of what, this generator function. So it means that, what does this mean? These generators, they work in a way where they yield their value, right? That is, it's just like the way your loop works one after the other. So that's the way generator works. That is, generator will, the first time when the loop runs, it will yield one thing. The next time the loop works, it will yield another thing. And then the next time the loop runs, it will yield another thing. And so that's the thing that powers what, your what, all the loops that we do, right? Behind the scene is what, the ability to what, to yield. The yield is like, I am going to return one value. Then afterwards, I'll return another value. So if it matches the condition, I will return another value. And also, what makes this generator also work again is what, the ability to what, to create a gen 1, right? A gen 1 or a gen Z. Let's use a gen Z to generate. And now we can now call a gen what? A gen Z dot next, right? And it will now give me what? Oh, the next thing in this generator is that what? Well, the way I'm looking at you here, the next thing is that what, I'm going to yield a value called what? A value called A, and I will tell you that false, that I'm not yet done. So if I tell it again to yield one more time, I'm going to yield another thing to you, which is what, B, and I will tell you that I'm not yet done. And if I yield one more time, I will not tell you that, well, I am yielding C to you as well, and I'm not done. And then when you yield the last time, it tells you that, no, man, we are done. So that is the process of what, a generator. That is what powers the particular thing that powers what, um that powers what, loop behind the scene, is what, the concept of generating, the concept of generating, and the concept of what, yielding. The concept of generating and the concept of yielding, that's what powers what, your loops, your for of loops, your array.from, all these things behind the scene. All right, so once we get that right, we can then implement our own, right, by letting the range to what, to have this symbol that iterator call a function, right? And then you can now return. And the major thing here is that, just this is the next here, this next is the major thing I need. That is, it needs a mechanism to know what the next thing is. Because if you look at this again here, how does it know the next thing? It is because yield is what makes it to know the next thing. It is that yield that makes it to know what, the next thing to do. The yield gives it the power to know what the next thing to yield. So every point in time, it knows that if they call next, then I'm supposed to give them A. If they call next, I'm supposed to give them B. If they call next, I'm supposed to give them C. Right? That's what is making that loop to work behind the scene. And same thing here for the alphabet thing that we did here as well. Right, for the alphabet thing that we did here, right, we created a way to go backward or forward with our word alphabets, right? And we're able to what, definitely we know that alphabets behind the scene, alphabets are numbers, right? So we are using that idea to just what, increase the number of the alphabet one time and display the result, increase the number of the alphabet and display the result. So that is the major thing about what, iterables. Now there's another what is the difference between something that is an array like and what is what, iterable, right? What is the difference? So majorly, iterable is just anything that implements or inherit what, symbol.iterator. That is what an iterable is, while arrays are just anything that has length. Again, let me say the difference there is that what, anything, any object that implements what, symbol.iterator method is an iterable. Whereas if something is array like, it has just length. So for example, now I could say this, right? Array dot what? Array dot from, and I pass something to, if I pass an object of what, some of you might have seen me do something that looks like this before. If you pass empty object with length to array.from, what does it create for you? If you pass empty object with length to array.from, what does it do for you? You would notice that it gave us what? Array of undefined in how many places? In 5 places, right? So what it did behind the scene is that it is using this length property here to try to compose a new array, but it does not know the value that it will put in the array. And that is why our what array.from has something we call what? It has 2 ways, 2 signatures, 2 methods. We can also do something like this, and if you check it this way, we then have what? An array right here. So this here is just what an array like, because it just has the length property, right? So if I make it what, if let's say inside of this place now, we say that look at this now. If I say the length is 2, and I say that the first thing is what? The first thing is what? Maybe Ojo, right? And the second thing is what? What's the second thing? I could say the second thing is what? The second thing is let's say 1. I could say the second thing is on shit to me here. So what have I successfully done here? So this way, I mean, I don't need this anymore, right? Because I don't need this anymore, right? Can you see the magic here? Like, you just, the reason why you're able to construct this kind of magic is because you understand what powers all these things behind the scene, right? So automatically is able to understand that, well, because I can see length, and because I can now see 2 items inside of this array, then automatically I know what I should do with this, and it's able to construct out what? A beautiful 2 arrays from that whole structure that we have right there. So again, anything that has length is an array like, but anything that implements what? Symbol.iterator is an iterable, right? And array.from is like the most powerful utility ever. Array.from is so powerful, right? Converting both iterables and converting both array like into their array equivalent. So again, those are like very beautiful skills that things that you should just know, right? I mean, if I'm going to interview somebody next now, you probably tell them to just implement an iterable for me, or implement something that is an array like for me, right? It's just you want to be sure that they understand what they say they understand. And if you're also looking for, like, I think I wrote an article sometimes back about generator functions Oluwashitimi.dev. I think I wrote something about generator functions sometimes back, right, where I talked extensively about generators, right? If you want to know more about generators, right, I talked about generators here in this function. Honestly, my website is due for replacement so badly. My website is so due for replacement. I don't know. I don't like this. I don't like what I see here. So built-in iterables and statements are what? The string is a built-in array in itself, type array, maps, set. They are all what? Built-in iterable, because their prototype object have a what? A symbol.iterator method. So again, we've said this over and over, right? And it's important. And then there are some statements and expressions expected are what? The for off loop, right? The yield and the yield. So again, there is something we call the async generators, right? There is something we call the async generators. That's like another masterpiece. The async generators is another masterpiece. They are very, I think, right? The async generators are another. I mean, these things are beautiful, honestly. I'm just remembering them, and some of the things that you can do with them. So async generators are just like you have functions, then we have like async functions, right? So Again, if you look at this code now, this is similar to what we talked about today, right? It has the from and the to, but now the asterisk beside here allows it to now loop through the value and yield the value back to us right there. So um these are very, very, very interesting things. So the major thing is now instead of it just being an ordinary yield, then it will now be like a yield asterisk, right? It will be a yield asterisk, and this yield asterisk here will now this yield that has asterisk it's just like you're saying that this yield asterisk itself will yield what? One iterable, and this will yield another iterable, this will yield another iterable, and then the combination of all of them here, they will be yielding what? Different iterables. And I think that we can pass all of this whole thing here to something we call array.fromAsync. There is a new method called array.fromAsync. This is a very new one. And this one is so powerful that this will just everything that we have here. Since they are all iterables and they are async things here. So what this means is this can be going to a database to generate something, to find something. It can go to a database here to go find something, or it can make an API request here, right? The moment you just pass every one of them back to array.fromAsync, it will return the last array of the result. So it will allow all of the operation to carry itself out and just return an array back to us. And that's like very powerful, all right? Even though it will take time, but still it is powerful in the sense that if you're to write a code that will do that for you manually yourself, it will stress you, right? To make different API calls, right? And then you want to gather all the results. You probably have many promise.all that you're going to be joining together to create something. But with the help of async generators and generators in itself, right, we can have very advanced and powerful, powerful stuff like this. And you can also throw an error inside of a generator, and then we can also force something to happen, right, which is generator.return, right? Yeah. So these are things that you can always catch up here and read up. If you want to like read up on all these things here, you can catch it up here and read on all of them here. I've written about them. So, and I also give like a quiz, right? I give a quiz here at the end here, right there. So what's the difference between these two things here? I wish I'm writing. I think I should start writing back, right? It's been a while I've written, so like I think I need to just start writing back. Writing helps you to, it helps you to put out your thought out there to the world, right? And it also helps you to become better in the sense that you don't want to put out something that is not confirmed or something that is not the best. So you kind of like, you will have to do some research, some hard work, and you are able to just put your thoughts together. But you can also catch up on these if you're interested, right? I wrote about this sometimes ago, so you can catch up on it if you want to read about that here. So the last thing I want to talk on before we quickly call it a day is what we have: what the weak set and the weak maps. The weak set and the weak maps. So what is the major thing with the weak set and the weak map? I think the major thing there is that what there are versions of maps and sets that are garbage collected, right? That the JavaScript engine just helps us to clean up. And part of the useful case there is that we could use them for like caching, right? Caching, right? Maybe I think Next.js uses a level of caching behind the scene, right? If we know how to use them. So what is the major thing with the weak maps, and how can we create a weak set there? Let's see. Let's just try to quickly run one and see if we are able to. So the weak map, we start with the weak map. So the weak map, this is a way to create a weak map, right? And then we could just set this here, right? And you can set this here, right? And what else can we do? I think the major thing is that the computer sort of just helps us to do the garbage collection of this. I think That's the major thing there. Yeah, I think that's the only major thing between the weak map and this. So the difference between the map and the weak map is that what? Okay. For maps, okay. So the key here for weak map must be object. When we talked about maps and sets the other time, I think we talked about maps and sets the other time. I'm not sure whether we talked about maps and sets here, but for maps and set expects us to, for map, an ordinary map would have been const map equals to new map, and what this would have been is to what, it expects you to just say what map, let's say map dot set. So you can set name to be Ojo, right? So here you're just passing a string and a string, right? You're passing a string and a string. And if you console.log, I think we can console.log array.from. I think I'm used to do array.from of that map as well. Map.entries, right? Is it map.entries now? I think I should be able to do this. No, let's just, if we do the map.entries alone. Let's see, ordinary map alone, we don't really get anything too much here. Map here, right? So that's the map here. The map here shows that what, it's just name and what the value, and then we should be able to just what, convert it into whatever we want to convert the map into. So we are able to do map.set values. I think we're able to do map.values, which also I think this yields a generator. I think so. This returns an iterable. And I think what we can do is that we can pass the iterable into an array.from, right? You can pass the iterable into what? Array.from, and it returns this here. Map.values, map.keys, right? I think we should be able to get the whole thing here. So, and then entries. Entries should be the both things here. Entries here. So here, right. Yeah, so that's a little bit about maps. For maps, again, it is value to value, whereas for weak map, right, it is what, an object to a particular value, right? For weak map is an object to a new value. So if you try to put a object here, right, I think it should throw an error. It's supposed to throw an error, right? Invalid value used as what, a weak map key. So the weak map expect this to be a proper object, right? That's what they expect there. And what are the advantages? I've not used them before though, but I don't think I know that the cases where we use these things are just for caching, right? They stay longer in the memory than the other ones, I think, right? They stay longer in the memory than the other ones. So for example, now maybe we can do something that looks like this. Now if you say function, let's say function count user, right? Function count user, and we call it an object like this. So what happens is that you want the count, maybe something to mark attendance or something like that. So we want it to be so anytime somebody comes into the system now, we will just if you pass a user here, we'll just check the user, right? So we'll do like a let's create a database. So let's say we're creating creating a database, right? A database with what? With weak map. So we can say db equals to weak map, right? So here I'm now going to check my db and say what? Db dot what? Dot what? Get, do we have a user, right? If we have that same user before, right, return that into us or not, right? We now say what? I think we can return what? Something that looks like this, 0 right here. And we will now say what? This. I think we can do a conditional of this here, and we can say this. So this thing here can help us to like log the attendance of what our user, or count the number of users that enter into our system. So let's try to run this now. Let's say this, the name of this user is Ojo here. All we just want to do is what? Count this user. But if I count that same user again, what do you think is going to happen? If I count the same user again, what do you think is going to happen? It's not, if I count it again, the count will still be 1. And how do we know what the count is going to be? Now let's look for our what? The size, our db dot what? Our db dot size. I think it should be size now. Should be able to get db dot size. Is it size? How do we get the size of a weak map? Can we get the size of that weak map? db dot, okay, we can't get size. Okay, maybe we should change this to a map. Let's see. If I change this to a map, then I should be able to now get. So if I change this to a map, I cannot pass an object anymore. So it has to be a string. It has to be a string, something that looks like this. And we can't this here. So we can now say a db dot. So we are saying that if you get the user and it returns something count, so maybe I want to say that count is going to be 0, or count is going to be 0, or set count plus 1. But it's the same user that is coming again the second time, so it's not supposed to count. It's not supposed to increase the count. What can I do? That is, if you check the user and the user exists here, just know that we have counted the person before. So if you get this person and it returns a value, the person exists before. So I need to write a conditional statement, right? I probably need to write a conditional statement so that it doesn't check, it doesn't come back here again the second time. So it will be something that looks like this, right? If, no, don't let me do it this way. I probably will want to say that if user, so if db dot what? If db dot has, right? If db dot has that user before, right? Note that that user already exists, and that's the only time we want to set the user, right? That is, we want to do a db dot set. And what do we want to put? We want to put the value of the user, and then we want to get what the account was. And just, I think we could just do, if db has the user, if db does not have the user here, and that's when we want to what? That's when we want to set to be what? The first thing, right? Just set it to 1, right? Else, you know that the person exists in the db already. So all you just want to do is what? Just do a db.getCount, and I think something that looks like this. So this is just like a very cheap way to use all these maps and weak sets. to be able to just to cache something, to keep a record. So if the record of that thing is existing before, you are able to, let's just break this down. How many times am I calling this? Let's just get this. Let's see. Let's see. So db dot size. Let's see what the size is here. The size is 0. So if we check here, this line is still causing problem. And so if you check the user and the user does exist, so you can count the user. And if you do a db dot size, so db dot size would always be 1, right? db dot user will always be 1. If you come back and count the thing again, they must still be 1, right? They shouldn't increase, right? Because the db has already counted the person before, so it shouldn't recount them again, right? It shouldn't recount them again, right? So what it's just doing is what? It's just checking the record. Does this record exist before? Always make sure that they are 1. So the only time it's going to count again is when a new user come into the system, right? So if we have a new user that comes into the system, and then we'll see what user is equals to what? A day, right? And now if user is equals to a day, and then we do a count user, right? You see that the size of the user of the db increases to 2, right? With the help of the map that we are using. So let me try to, so if we are using the if we are using the weak map now, let me see what the difference is going to be. The first difference is going to be that if we're using the weak map here, we must pass objects. That's the major thing here. So whatever we are passing here must be an object. So we want to say this is going to be an object with name colon what value, right? And then you pass this. And here we can now say what name is also what this, and you can pass this here. I think so. But there should be a way for us to know the size of what all the content that is inside of this db dot. What are the possible things that is inside these two things? What are the APIs for this? It only has access to weak maps, only have access to new read-only entries. What are the possible values of the weak maps? Weak maps. Okay, so that is a little bit about what the weak map is in general. And another thing that we can also do is what we can do. We can also do the weak set, right? And the only difference here with the weak set is that it behaves similarly, right? And I think with a set, let's see if I remember what a set does. We still wrote the code for a set recently. So here for a set, if we want to, set is for storing unique things, right? Unique value, right? Set is for storing unique values. So would have been that if we have a new set of hello, right? A new set of what? Let's do this. Let's do it here like this. If we do s, I think we have s in the beginning here. S was what? Streaming. Set. So we can say what's the value of set here, right? We can say set. So set is what? Something that looks like this. And we can log these values. So you can convert these values to what? Dot values, right? Dot size, right? To get what the whole size is, right? That's 9, right there. And the equivalent of it is to also create what? A weak set. And I think also a weak set also work just the way the weak map works. You can only pass the object to it. So if we want to do let weak set equals to what? New weak set, and then we can do weak set, let obj this, and then you can do hard this, right? Okay, it just takes the object in itself. I think the weak map just takes the object in itself, right? And why is this here? Okay, let's say obj1, obj with w, right? Obj with w, obj with w, and let's see. And we can always, I think the thing with the weak map and the weak set is that they don't have size. So I don't think we can know what their size is. They don't have size, but they only relate with object majorly. And that's the only major thing there. I've also not used them. I've not had a reason to use them personally, but I think they are handy tools. They should be handy tools if there is a need for you to use them. So today, majorly, I've spoken about iterables. I've spoken about weak maps and weak sets. And I think the last thing I want to talk about before I go into something else in next Friday would be we'll just talk about um I think the next one I want to talk about is I'll talk about numbers and strings, which is something that we've done before, but we'll just revisit numbers and strings again one more time. And yeah, so we should be able to go to another chapter on javascript.info where we'll talk about recursion, rest and spread parameter, right? Global object, functions, set timeout, scheduling APIs, decorators, and function bindings and stuff, all that stuff. So again, thank you for joining the stream. This is pure raw JavaScript, right? And I'll see you again, right, tomorrow, where we'll talk about Next.js, and we should be building something fresh tomorrow. 3:30, or I think it should be 3 o'clock or 3:15. I can't remember whether it's 3 o'clock or 3:15 EST, or 9:15 or 9 o'clock WAT, right, tomorrow. Thank you for joining, and I hope it wasn't too complex. I hope it wasn't too complex for everybody to deal with today. I'll see you again tomorrow.